What's going on, guys? We got another mechanicking video for you here. This is Missy's 97 Ford Crown Victoria, and we've got really dim low beam lights. The high beams work okay, but the low beams are ridiculously dim and almost like you don't have headlights. And I'm thinking back to the video I made with where I fixed my flashing headlights. They were really dim before I added relays to them because of the power going through the headlight switch. So I'm looking through here on her car, and I have these relays, and those four are the rear defrost, the horn, cooling fan, and police stuff. Air suspension, which this car doesn't have, the rear air suspension. And that fourth relay is also for police power. Look, police fuses, police power. We don't have those fuses. So I imagine that's the extra circuits Ford put in to accommodate the lights and stuff on the roof. But over here we have the other three relays the car has. If you can read those, that's EEC power, fuel pump, and the AC cutout relay. So I'm just trying to verify that this car doesn't have relays on the headlights, because my 92 didn't, and this is a 97, and it would appear it doesn't have relays on the headlights either. So what we're going to do here today is add in some relays so that our headlight electricity isn't running from the battery through the harness in our little delicate headlight switch back out to the headlights. In my truck I had this problem. If y'all seen that video, I had the problem where my lights would flash and they were also incredibly dim because the power was, I guess I was losing power going through that switch. So I'm thinking this car isn't old enough for the lights to be flickering yet, because it only has like 80,000 miles on it. So I'm thinking the lights are so dim because it's not getting the whole 12 volts to the bulb. I imagine it's doing the same thing my 92 was doing, where it's robbing power, it's losing electricity through that switch. So we're going to install some headlight relays. I'll show you how that goes, and hopefully at the end of it we'll have much brighter headlights. That would be good, because they suck right now. It's like the low beams are terrible. You turn the low beams on, you can't see anything. You turn the high beams on, you got pretty good headlights, but they're just bright enough to be blinding other people. That's great, right? Now we've got that plastic cover off, and that was just a couple of these guys. That's what it looks like under the hood. And there's a tool for removing those out of these holes, but I didn't have that, so I used this little hammer. That's how I got them out. Now we're over here. I'm working on the low beam side first. Here I had the wire pulled off of the headlight, and here's my little relay. So if you look at our numbers there, see, this thing is a switch. It's got 4 poles. Here is where your hot power from the battery will be going to. This pole here is going to be the power to your headlight. So I'm going to be cutting this wire, and the 1/2 that comes off of this I'm going to need to go right there because it's receiving the power. This side is going to get the hot wire from the battery over here, and then over here on this side, this is the switch. This is the little magnet switch. So when we cut this wire here, the bottom half coming from the car, coming from your headlight switch, is going to run to one side of this, and the other side is going to be a ground. So when you flip your headlight switch on, it's going to turn this on. Instead of supplying power to the light itself, it's going to supply power to this little low current switch, and then it's going to turn on this high current switch to give you good hot full 12 volts to the light. Before we didn't have this, you'd turn on the headlight switch and it's running this power to the headlight through the switch. And these modern headlights draw a lot of current, and the old switches don't like that. So now we'll get cutting and slicing and move forward from there. Now I've got one of our harness wires tied into the car's harness. This yellow one is my number 87 pole there. So that's to the headlights. When the switch closes, that's my power running to the lights. And see down here how I have it plumbed in. That wire is tied into the positive side of this low beam headlight. And see, this is the original ground. We're not cutting that. Now here's this red wire. We have to connect this side. This is the right side headlight low beam. We have to connect it. See, I have my red wire run here through that beam, and over here I've drilled a new hole right next to this, and it's not cut there. I have that blue tape on it to prevent it from getting cut on the sharp edge over time, because I couldn't get in there and clean that edge any better. But I've got that red wire running on through right here to the positive side of our low beam light on the left side. And then here, this wire, this is the electricity coming off of your switch in the car. We just cap that off on this side because this isn't going anywhere anymore. On this side, we're not going to cap it off. This is going to tie in to one side or the other of our magnet inside the relay. So this is going to give that little bit amount of power to turn this magnet on to switch the high current switch and run the high current power. So now I'll go ahead and we'll identify which one of these coordinates was one of those, and we'll tie that together. It's getting a little bit dark on us here at the mall parking lot. If I didn't tell y'all already, we're wiring in relays in the mall parking lot because I'm off today and the old lady's got to work and our schedules never commingulate. So to make up for that, we're getting these installed out here. And now another big problem I had to run and go find a torch lighter here because I've been using the little Bic lighter to solder my wire connections together. That worked for a few of them, but it's way too windy, so that kept blowing my flame out. It's just really difficult to solder these wires. So now we're going to try again with the little torchy guy. See how that goes. You have a range of ridiculously big flame to still ridiculously big flame. So that's nice. That's as little as the flame gets. Are you serious? Yeah, that's where it needs to be, right there. And it stays there for a half a second. Okay, alright. It looks like if you hold the button and don't use their regulating thing up here, just real gentle on the button, you might be able to get a actual usable flame. Holy crap, that's too big. Oh my god, what a other than it being a spittery sputtery mess, works great. Alright, well that's a lot better. Now we can solder with speed. We've got this pole and this pole hooked up, so we need to do our fused hot wire. We got a fuse there. Fused hot wire off the battery and hook the ground for the other side there. Got a Christmas concert in the mall. Look at him singing his heart away over there. I like that one. Look at him go. And you thought you just came to this video for a wiring harness fix. Nope, electric's in the mall also. We got everything. Now to get us updated, I got my relay in place. That red wire there runs through that wall over to a fusible link and up to the battery. And the green wire, my ground, not green, the blue wire, my ground is running over here to that bolt. right there. I don't really like that for our ground, but hopefully that'll work for now. And I think I'm gonna extend this wire. See, I just have it here to this ground right now because I'm not sure where I'm mounting the relay. So I'm thinking I'm gonna try to get the relay mounted where it's like right here next to this doohickey. So I'll probably reroute that ground. I don't think this is a great ground anyway. I'll probably reroute that. I don't think it's great because it's bolted to this piece of metal that's bolted to that metal, and I'd rather be bolted to that metal. But that'll probably be good for now, but I think I'm going to mount the relay here and run this ground back over that way where those other grounds are, so they'll all be together. But we should be now. I should be able to hook up the battery and have low beam lights again. So let's see. I guess I was backwards. I'm trying to hook up the low beams for a ride home, and it looks like I wired up the high beams. Good. We have really super duper bright high beams now, and I was correct that not having these relays was making the lights dimmer, but I was trying to fix the low beams for our drive home. The high beams were already blinding people, and the low beams weren't enough light to see the road in front of us. So now the low beams are still dim and the high beams are even brighter. Now we're getting started on the actual low beam side. See, I got my first wire here soldered. That first yellow wire there is the 87 pole here. This one here is going over to one or the other right there, the 85 or the 86, to turn on the relay. That one's here, the 85 or 86, and that's going to connect right there. And then we've got the red wire here. We're going to run to another fusible link off of the battery, and that green wire will stub, not green wire, I'm sorry, the blue wire, we will stub back over here with our other ground, just like the first one. That looks like a big scary mess, doesn't it? I promise it's much more simpler than it looks. That's the first relay. Here's my next relay for the low beams. See, when I wired into my whatever that thing is, when I wired into the light outlet, I forgot to run my second wire. See, I got two now in there, but I forgot to run my second wire right out of this junction, so I made another one. So we're just tied into that yellow there, and then we come in, and this is all tucked up in there with the other wire running underneath, and here it comes out. See, we come out right there, stubbed into this, so we're feeding power to the other low beam. And then all we got left to do over here is install our fuse, hook our fusible link up to power, and we need to run that blue wire right there over to the ground with the other blue wire. Then we'll have two working headlight relays, low and high beam. We got both our little fused wires coming off the positive side all pretty, and then they run along through the wall. And here's our little bit of a mess looking relay setup. See our two relays and all our wires. That's all going to be a lot neater here in just a minute. It's already looking pretty good. I'll have to mount them relays up against that wall there with some self-tappers. But other than that, she is all wired up and taped up and pretty as can be right there. See our wires come along. You can see them there too. Look at my wires. And then right here, I got the one coming out of that hole, and then I goofed up and ran this one out the top, just like an idiot. So as soon as that bothers me too much, I'm gonna have to cut that and rewire it back through the hole, because I don't like that. That looks stupid. You see those two wires come in, feed the low beam and feed the high beam. We'll set the camera back out here for a before and after shot. Why don't we? But there's you that before and after. Now we have real low beam headlights. We're out here in this lit up parking lot, so it's not like you'd be able to tell. But these are way, way brighter than they just were. Before it was like they weren't even on. You know, they were on, they just weren't even. So I just got to get these mounted up, and then I can put my cover back on. Now it's all put back together. Yeah, good high and low beam lights, and you hardly can't even tell I did anything. Then covered it all up from your starting eyes. Now all you see is my little wires right there, wrapped up tight to my 2 fuses. That is the only thing that looks unfactory now. All the rest of it's nice and tucked away, the relays are mounted up, and the wiring's not all out in the open and ugly. And now she's finally mint. And look, you see around me there? Does it look dark? So I think I fixed the headlights on the old lady's car just in time for us to drive home. Now as soon as she gets off of work, we can actually see on the way home. Thank you guys for watching. I sure appreciate you for hanging out here with me all this time while I got the old lady's headlights working again, so Sweets could make it home. And y'all have a wonderful day. Make sure you comment down below if there's anything I left out or anything I didn't explain very well that didn't make any sense. I'd love to know. And y'all have a good one. Be safe on your way home. Use your headlights.